Have you ever noticed how quiet the world gets when a woman decides to live alone, without a man? Not lonely. Not abandoned. Just choosing her own space. Her own rhythm. Her own life. And yet, somehow, that decision still makes people uncomfortable. Maybe they say it with a smile, "You're so brave." Or they look at you with a kind of pity, like you must be aching for someone to come rescue you. They ask if you ever get scared. Or bored. Or wonder if you'll regret it someday. But here's the truth no one talks about enough. There is nothing broken or strange about a woman who chooses to live in peace. There is wisdom in that choice. And sometimes, survival. Maybe you spent decades caring for a partner who never really saw you. Or you raised your kids alone while pretending everything was fine. Maybe the marriage looked picture perfect from the outside, but behind closed doors, it was walking on eggshells. Or silence used like a weapon. Or being touched only when it was convenient for him. Or maybe it wasn't dramatic at all. Just years of being talked over. Undervalued. Slowly erased. And one day, you woke up and thought, I'm still here. I'm still me. I want more than this. Let's be honest, some people don't understand why you'd leave that behind. Or why you'd stay single on purpose. Or why, even after the grief and the loss and the ache of letting go, you'd still choose your own company over crumbs of affection. But you get it. Because you know what it costs to stay in a relationship that drains you. You know what it's like to give everything, your time, your attention, your peace, and still be told you're too much. Or not enough. Or just difficult. So now, when you sit alone in your own living room with a warm cup of tea, when no one's criticizing your dinner or demanding your energy, when you can finally hear your own thoughts again, that's not loneliness. That's freedom. But I want to name something here, gently, because it comes up a lot. Even when women feel at peace with living alone, there's this tiny voice that sometimes whispers, "Am I allowed to like this? Shouldn't I want someone?" Because we were raised to believe our value shows up in someone else's eyes. That a woman's success is still being chosen. Let me say this slowly. You are not incomplete because you are not partnered. You are not selfish for choosing peace over performance. And you are not asking too much when you expect to be treated with care and respect. Living alone doesn't mean giving up on love. It means you've stopped tolerating harm disguised as closeness. And maybe you've noticed this too. The silence in your home now feels different than the silence you used to live with. This silence is yours. It holds room for healing. For music you like. For phone calls you want to answer. For putting your feet up without being questioned. For resting without guilt. There's nothing wrong with you for wanting that. Some people will try to convince you otherwise. They'll say things like, "But don't you want companionship?" Or "Aren't you scared of growing old alone?" But the truth is, you probably already did grow old next to someone who made you feel invisible. You probably already felt alone inside a full house. So now, when you light a candle at night, when you lock the door and feel safe for the first time in years, that is not something to feel sorry for. That is sacred. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. Before the world told you to shrink. And if you still have moments of doubt, that's okay. It just means you're healing. You're learning to trust yourself again. You don't need to explain your choices to anyone. Not your kids. Not your siblings. Not the nosy neighbor who always has something to say. You get to decide what home feels like. And if home means quiet mornings, books by the window, meals for one, and soft pajamas by 8, that is beautiful. That is enough. Let's keep going. There's more to say. More truths to name. More peace to claim. Let's talk about something tender. The invisible weight that still shows up, even after you've chosen peace. Maybe you've noticed it. You're living alone now. You're not being yelled at. You're not catering to someone else's moods. But out of nowhere, there's this strange guilt. Or this pressure. Like you should be doing more. Like you should feel lonelier than you do. That's not an accident. That's years, maybe decades, of conditioning. We were taught that a good woman gives endlessly. She doesn't complain. She takes care of others first. She holds the family together. So when you stop doing all that, even if it nearly broke you, some part of you still wonders, am I allowed to rest? Am I allowed to just live, for me? Yes. You are. You are allowed to enjoy your own company. You are allowed to eat dinner in silence without performing small talk. You are allowed to stretch out in bed and sleep peacefully through the night without someone pulling you into their chaos. But here's the thing, and I want to be real about this. Just because you chose to live alone doesn't mean the old voices in your head disappear overnight. Maybe you still hear that tone your ex used when you got too emotional. Maybe your adult children say things like, "You're too set in your ways now." Maybe your coworkers think you're just bitter because you're not partnered. But you know the truth. You didn't leave because you gave up on love. You left because you stopped confusing pain with connection. That takes courage. So let's talk about how to keep that courage, especially when people test your boundaries. Maybe someone says, "Well, if you weren't so picky, you wouldn't be alone." You can gently reply, "I'd rather be alone than betray myself just to keep someone next to me." Or maybe they say, "But don't you miss having a man around to help you with things?" And you can smile and say, "I've figured out a lot more on my own than I ever did being second-guessed." It's okay to speak up. Not to convince them, but to remind yourself that you are not the one missing out. Because here's the quiet truth so many women carry. It's not the physical space you were desperate for. It's the emotional room to breathe. And now, you have that. You can cry if you need to, without hiding in the bathroom. You can laugh out loud at your favorite show without someone rolling their eyes. You can rearrange your kitchen the way you like it, cook what you want, and leave dishes in the sink if you're tired, and no one will punish you for it. That's not selfish. That's life. Yours. And if the holidays feel hard, if the empty table hits differently, it's okay to feel both peace and grief in the same breath. You're allowed to miss what never really worked. You're allowed to remember the good parts and still not want to go back. You're allowed to love your life and still feel the ache of starting over. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about honoring the choice to no longer abandon yourself. There's something sacred about the quiet healing that happens when no one's watching. When no one is performing. When no one is expecting you to shrink or smile when you don't want to. Sometimes healing looks like buying the good sheets for yourself. Or changing the locks. Or lighting incense and dancing around your living room just because you can. Sometimes it looks like watching the sunset alone. And realizing, for the first time in a long time, you feel safe. You feel home. And maybe that's the biggest shift of all. You used to believe home was a person. Now you're starting to remember. Home is you. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. And you are not broken because you needed space to feel whole again. Let's keep going, okay? Because this journey, this truth, it's still unfolding. And you deserve to hear every part of it. There's something quiet that happens after the dust settles. When you've been living alone for a while. When the drama is gone. The tension. The confusion. The walking on eggshells. At first, it feels strange. You keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. You check your phone, out of habit, wondering if someone's mad at you, or silent, or pulling away. But then, nothing happens. And eventually, you realize, this is what peace feels like. And it's not loud. It's not flashy. It's just steady. Soft. Yours. That doesn't mean it's always easy. There are nights that feel long. Mornings that feel heavy. And sometimes, yes, you'll wish someone were there to hold you, or fix the faucet, or just say, "I see you." But you also know this. You've been held by people who made you feel smaller. You've had your hand kissed while your spirit was ignored. You've shared your home with someone who didn't share your heart. So now, when you miss something, you ask yourself, do I miss love? Or do I miss not having to explain myself? Because real love doesn't twist your words. It doesn't punish you with silence. It doesn't expect you to shrink so someone else can feel big. You're not impossible to love. You were just loving people who needed you silent to stay comfortable. Now, you get to choose differently. And sometimes, that means choosing yourself. I want to say this gently, because it matters. If you've made it to this chapter of your life, living alone, by choice or by circumstance, it's not because you failed. It's because you grew. And growth is messy. It's brave. And yes, it can be lonely sometimes. But lonely doesn't mean broken. It just means you're no longer filling your life with noise that hurts. You don't have to apologize for who you've become. You don't need to explain why you stopped chasing love that made you tired. You don't have to defend your peace. You earned it. And if you ever forget that, if the voices around you say, "But what if you need someone one day?" you can smile and remember. You've needed yourself your whole life. And you're still here. That's not just surviving. That's strength. So here's what I want to leave you with. You deserve softness. You deserve to wake up in a home that feels calm. You deserve to spend your days without being monitored, criticized, or drained. You deserve love, the kind that feels like safety, not strategy. And until that love comes, if it ever does, your own company is not a waiting room. It's enough. You are not unfinished. You are not behind. You are living proof that women can rebuild. Not just a home, but a sense of self. You can wear what you like. Eat when you're hungry. Rest when you're tired. Decorate your bathroom however you please. Say no without guilt. And walk around your house talking to your plants if you feel like it. You are not too old to begin again. You are not too late to feel free. And if you ever catch yourself wondering, is this really okay? Yes. It is. It's more than okay. It's sacred. So if this speaks to you, if any part of this feels familiar, I hope you'll share your experience in the comments. Not for validation, but for connection. Because other women are watching, listening, healing, and your voice matters. You are not alone. Not anymore. You are living proof that peace is possible. Even after heartbreak. Even after betrayal. Even after years of being told to settle. You're not asking for too much. You're asking for what's fair. You deserve peace. And it's not too late to claim it.